Alright, I was thinking as I was just walking, basically about feelings, emotions, you know, things like not just looking at them as that, but to perceive them in a way which you can actively work with them. And what I'm trying to get at is these feelings that you know that surface within you, and you know, dealing with desires, dealing with urges, all right, dealing with urges, dealing with, you know what I'm saying, those at some points uncontrollable feelings. Because like, okay, like, you know, you might wake up and then you feel like, you know what I'm saying, you may feel however you feel, but you feel driven to do something other than what you set out in your mind or what you had originally planned to do. Like oftentimes, like you have people who be like, okay, on this day, I'm going to be doing this, that, you know, A, B, C, D. You know, and then they might do A, they might do C, and they skip B and D. Right? For whatever reason. You know, some sort of distraction like waking up. Like waking up and, you know what I'm saying, you have that urge to check your Facebook, you have that urge to check on people and to see who messaged you, right? And so what I want to explain is, well, not really what is what, because in everything that you can perceive, there is an element. There are two dynamics. You have the aspect dealing with what can be considered uncontrolled. So that would be the variable. And then you have the aspect which can be controlled. You see what I'm saying? For you as an individual, that is the constant. The only time it varies is through your choice and through your, you know what I'm saying, your actions and your choices. You know, whichever course you want to change. But that course is constant so long as you maintain that course. Everything else is a variable. So, now there is ways to, you know, to manipulate that, but that's getting into, you know, where you can understand how to turn the variable into constants. You know, everything is interchangeable. Everything is interchangeable. So, what I'm going to explain is a way to kind of like perceive it, because, and this is dealing with the aspect of what you can control. And if you can't control anything else in your surroundings, the beginning step to doing so is to learning how to control your mind. So, your mind is like a computer. And for people who understand computers, a computer is nothing unless, you know, until you know what I'm saying, install a program. You can't do anything on a computer unless you have programs to do it. You know, a program can be any, you know, anything, you know, anything that allows you to input, you know, and carry out commands. So, you know, after you get past the coding and everything, every form has codes. Every form has a code, which is kind of like the destiny. It's kind of like the aspect where, you know, where I guess we could say the behavior of a system. for us, for the mind like a computer. So anything that surfaces within the mind is like, you know, is based off of the programming that is that has been installed, or you know what I'm saying, input within the mind. So what I like to do is, whenever there are concepts that I'm seeking to convey, you know, because a lot of this information, depending on how far you go with it, you reach a point where you get in touch with information like where it's difficult to explain, it's difficult to put into words. So the next step is to visualize, and that's what I do a lot. Like when I want to understand a system of information, man, my nose running, my bad. When I want to understand something, I visualize it. And so when I want to visualize emotions, and this is where symbology is important. This is where symbology is important. The symbology is important in the aspect where just understanding the shapes, just understanding the shapes of the symbols you deal with, you can understand the formation of phenomena that happens around you in nature. So when I think emotions, I think water, I think flowing. I think, you know what I'm saying? So when emotions are building up within you, you know what I'm saying, it's like water rising up. So, but the water is like, you know, you could see it as like pure energy. You know, it's something that's intangible. It's just a force. You know what I'm saying? It's a natural force. It's a natural force that is within everything. Everything has this water that rises up periodically. It's cyclic. You know, you have periods when it rises, period when it's at its lowest. You know what I'm saying? Which is what the mechanics of science seek to convey. It seeks to convey the periods of time to track, you know, the motions of energy. But when you're just dealing with the pure abstract, you know, it's gonna rise up. It's gonna rise up, and what you have is like these pockets. You know, the waters rise up and it becomes filled within these pockets. And within these pockets, you have certain, like, you know, you have certain grooves, certain curvatures and shit like that, which is going to dictate the manner in which, you know, the way the motions travel. The components that will be expressed is going to reveal itself in certain tendencies and certain behaviors. So, and everything I'm explaining to you, like when I say pockets, water filling the pockets, I'm not expecting, and I'm saying this within you, I'm not saying literally you have, you know, this liquid rising within you and filling in these certain, or I'm not talking about glands, I am talking about those things, but only in the aspect where we're talking about energy. You know what I'm saying? You have a whole anatomic structure of energy. You see what I'm saying? You have your physical anatomy, but you also have your energetic and your spiritual anatomy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could use sound to map out certain channels of emotion. Like, people don't understand, like, you have, when they talk about in the Bible, you know, what are the deadly sins? You know, lust, envy. These energies have a place has an actual location. You see what I'm saying? There's a location within your spiritual anatomy that is solely committed to lust. You know, you have channels that are solely committed to love. You see what I'm saying? Like, so anyway, getting back to the pockets, you have the pockets, the water's filled into the pockets, and this is how I visualize, this is what I imagine. And when you deal with this, then you understand that you start to understand that the you know, that your desires and these things that you feel that are sometimes, they feel like they're uncontrollable, you can actually control them. Because when you understand how the energy, how this shit is playing out, then you could be like, okay, you know what I'm saying, you could become the front seat driver, you know what I'm saying, in the driver's side, you could be the driver, you know, your destiny. You can decide, okay, because now you are an active participant within your own world. You see what I'm saying? Because it starts with you, it starts within. So you feel these emotions rising within you, and you understand like that everything is potential. You know, and the moment that you feel something, your emotion is going to bring up certain thoughts within you. There are going to be certain pathways that you're going to express this energy. All of this is determined upon which of these pockets. So it's just a matter of you taking the time to identify. Now you can read and study. The way that I explain my information, the way that I explain things in such a way to where anybody, you know, you don't even, if you never even picked up a book on metaphysics, you know what I'm saying, you have shit, you have no information whatsoever, you just starting off, you don't know nothing, you know what I'm saying, like how to get into the mind state of like dealing with this shit, you know, without dumping you, you know, with constant, you know, jargon. So that's how I deal with it. Like when you feel those emotions rise, like you know that, you know, you're gonna have certain thoughts. Just pay attention to the thoughts you have. Then it's just a matter of, you know, picking and choosing. You know what I'm saying? You become like, it's like you're in your body, but it's like, you know, it shuts down that whole idea of man being an animal. You see what I'm saying? Because when we think animal, we think of, you know, a force, you know, just an uncontrollable force, like a motherfucker that just is unthinking, it's unfeeling, it doesn't know any better. It just, you know, it just does what it does. But we were blessed with a higher intelligence. This whole, everything that we're doing is because we've been endowed with a higher intelligence. We are not just animals. When people say we're just animals, no. Get out of that mentality. The very fact that you acknowledge that, you see what I'm saying? Because what I often see people do is they'll study their experiences. They don't even study their experience. They'll look at their experience and judge it based upon their personal experience. It's the same thing when you hear people, especially our people, be like we'll suffer racism and we'll join in solidarity, but at the same time we'll shit on each other and be like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, we never look out for each other. We never support each other. We never support our businesses. You know what I'm saying, we don't do shit. We don't, you know what I'm saying, all them other races, they stick for each other. We dealing with all this black on black crime, and yet we bitching about black lives. Yo, You know what I'm saying? It's like it's always an antithesis to the thesis every time without fail. When you have a collective who is endeavoring to make things better, you know what I'm saying? When you have, I'm gonna say, when you have a group of individuals who because that's how it starts off. It starts off with the small pockets, the small collective, filling the large collective, like the nucleus. You know what I'm saying? Or the dot within the circle. The circle itself, the circumference being the mass, and the small pocket being, you know what I'm saying? So, like, every time without fail,